Yo, welcome back to the Nucleogenesis Project. My name is Dr. James Utley, your resident codebreaker data scraper. I am a board certified longevity scientist, have a PhD in health science, and am a certified advanced biotherapies professional. All right, with that all the way, we are on the final episode. It's the final episode. Number 13. So, number 13 of the Nucleogenesis Project. Okay, well, first we'll start with the opener. What is the Nucleogenesis Project? It is a temporal framework for eukaryotic nuclear blueprint archival and reconstruction. And what does that mean? We are building a nuclear blueprint manifest that can be used in the future to train AI models, to clone, to end up as a physical nucleus, so for deep space travel, it's robust, it can withstand calamities, it's not liquid nitrogen tanks, it's not infrastructure, it is on a card. And we're at the final stages of this. So if you haven't watched any of the other videos, go back and start from the primer, the abstract, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And right now we're at 13, which is the conclusion. So here we are, the conclusion. So I'll do a little less paraphrasing and more reading here. So nucleogenesis. It establishes a scientifically rigorous and deliberate bounded framework for nuclear blueprint archival and reconstruction. At its core, lies the principle of temporal decoupling, the recognition that different classes of nuclear information, meaning from a nucleus, obey fundamentally different preservation laws and therefore must be captured, stored, reconstructed on different temporal schedules, on different time schedules. High fidelity architectural information, irreversibly lost upon cell lysis, is acquired from fresh material at the moment of collection. So that is our biofresh fraction. While chemically stable genomic and epigenomic information is preserved via a dried blood spot archival card, right? For indefinite or future use, right? And that is the archival part, right? So it can be stored, right? This separation resolves a long-standing computational error in prior approaches, which implicitly assumes that all nuclear information must be preserved synchronously or not at all. By decoupling what must be measured now from what can be recovered later, nucleogenesis transforms nuclear reconstruction from an all or nothing problem into a staged informationally and theoretic process. And that is really, so we collect now, we grab the information, we build the base layer or the anchor. And on that, we build more data on more data on more data until you cross this Rubicon and you can use it for something. Okay, so the framework is distinguished by the foundational characteristics, and these are it. The honest data provenance, meaning like the origin of the data and is all logged, quality control, measured, immutable. It carries explicit provenance metadata that is assigned to a confidence tier. It's all distinguished from direct measurements, from statistically imputed, and all of those features to come to a reasonable access of like what the data is, what is inferred, and what is completely projected or predicted. Okay, mathematically principled reconstruction. Nuclear reconstruction is formulated as a confidence weighted constraint optimization problem rather than a naive inversion of degraded data. So you know the data is going to degrade. So what you're trying to do is trying to control that data loss over time, right? And that is measured through a tier approach. It's all logged immutable record which can be audited. So if you have a problem, meaning like there's some degradation that was not like accounted for, you can go back and look at it and find out what happened, what was the change, what was different. And it is meant to be maximally faithful to the empirical ground truth wherever it exists and explicitly undermines where it does not. So it's always trying to stay as close to anchored to that fresh sample. Okay, the other number 3 is quantified uncertainty. So that is we're building models of this, right? Because it's a digital blueprint, a digital twin of a eukaryotic nucleus. And by doing so, we have to understand what is defined layers and what is an ambiguous layer. And everything has to have a metric, which is the uncertainty quantification. How certain or uncertain are you? The future, so number 4 is the future proof system architecture, which basically means you're taking everything, you're controlling it, version control, etc., but you're leaving room to know that technological evolution will probably outpace. So it will incorporate all of the data that was before and maybe build something greater in the future, or it may replace it, etc. But nothing is lost, nothing is written over or rewritten. And you have to understand that as data grows, the compression improves, and all of these factors. So the nucleogenesis framework is meant with the mindset that it should grow, right? It should be an evolution. The nuclear blueprint manifest should only get better over time, and that is how it's preserved over time, and that's where the long horizon use case. Okay, so critically, this work also draws a clear and principled boundary around what is not yet achievable. The transition from a digital nuclear blueprint to a functional physical nucleus remains unsolved. It is an unsolved challenge. And there's a lot of things that you have to do, which is acquiring advancements in long reads or gigabase scale DNA synthesis, programmable chromatin assembly, and de novo nuclear envelope formation. Like all of those things have to be part of it, and they're all going to develop over time. Nucleogenesis does not make any premature claims that this could be realized now. Like it's a framework that is a data collection mechanism that will be able to be used in the future, right? So it delivers the most complete, internally consistent digital nuclear representation that current science allows. It only takes you can only add what you know. We have all these AI and predictive and ML models and these type of things that can start imputing or filling the gaps of, connecting things, the little connectome type items. And now you may have a future where then you can correlate your back data with the first, and there's a lot of opportunity there, but it is very aware. It is uncertainty aware that it is not meeting the standard to build a physical nucleus at this time. But it will construct an infrastructure that is designed to interface with future breakthroughs. So within this context, the strategic value of a dried blood spot archival layer or record becomes clear. A single dried blood spot card archived today encodes biological identity in a form that is chemically stable, independent of cryogenic storage, compact and transportable, and you can reanalyze it using sequence or reconstruction technologies that maybe are not yet invented. Well, they're not yet invented. So but the fundamental portion of nucleogenesis as a framework is as humanity moves into environments where conventional biological preservation becomes fragile or impossible, for example, deep space missions, post-catastrophic recovery, and resource-constrained settings, dried blood spot based nuclear archiving offers a unique and robust substrate for biological continuity. How we survive. Nucleogenesis formalizes the substrate into a coherent scientific system, meaning a data file, ensuring that the biological information captured today remains interpretable, extensible, actionable, audible, and all of the things that you need to have a complex file to make a complex thing in the future. And that could be far into the future. So if you want to maintain your presence on in this reality on this earth, you could have your nuclear blueprint manifest, you could have your dried blood spot card all ready to go, and you know that this framework has built it into a construct model that will then be used in the future. So when this technological evolution does present itself, that you are in the game and whatever that means. So we shall see, but it sounds cool, right? And this brings us to our final perspective. And this is a real fundamental perspective of the Nucleogenesis Project and framework here is that nucleogenesis does not attempt to outpace biology. It instead aligns with its constraints, chemical, physical, temporal, while preserving maximal optionality for the future. Like that's really what it is, collecting the information in an organized fashion that then has an opportunity or an option to be used in the future it does this by combining rigorous provenance, principled reconstruction, quantified uncertainty, and resilient archival, the framework reframes the nuclear preservation not as the act of stasis, but as a long-term investment in biological memory. In doing so, it establishes a foundation upon which future generations may build capabilities that cannot yet be realized without forfeiting the information required to do so. So, yeah, this is the Nucleogenesis Project, and this has been an exciting, kind of year and framework, and I've built a little some of these applications, and I will continue to build them, and that'll be the next phase of this. So, what's next? And if you've stayed here until this and watched all the parts, thank you. Find me on social media, drop me a note. I would love that. And the next phases is I'm gonna start. I've built out the nucleo sampler, the nucleo builder, the nucleo reconstructor, the nucleo synthesizer. Like I'll have those applications all in a framework, and they need a lot of work. So I'm going to be taking these next times, and I'll, probably, and I'll be sharing with you about how I build those applications more and more, and making this thing a reality. So with that, again, my name is Dr. James Utley. I am your resident codebreaker data scraper. Thank you for joining me for 13-part series of the Nucleogenesis Project, and I hope to see you all in the future. And if you've watched this, drop me a note. I love people that are down for science, and this is the science that will catapult us in the future. So I will see you in the future. Peace.